Hi, this is Stan Matthews, host of the Matthews TV broadcast and founder of the Inner Circle Professional Network. It takes a village to raise a child and a community to build healthy, wealthy businesses, professional practices, and community organizations. The Matthews TV broadcast enables urban consumers like you to support urban business owners, professionals, nonprofit and community organizations that make urban communities great places to live, work, and raise a family. So please continue to watch the Whole Person, Whole Community broadcast on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. on Comcast Xfinity Channel 190 and at the Matthews Broadcast YouTube channel. Oh yeah, and tell 10 friends to watch the broadcast too. Heartfelt thanks for your continued friendship and support.
When you shop urban, you strengthen your community, save time and money, and create more jobs.
When you need capital for your small business, call Brian Fleming at Spring Hill Financial. When you need a car or truck, call Bill Owens at Lucas Ford. When you want your staff to perform at a higher level, call Patrick Fennell at Empowerment Solutions. When you want legendary landscaping services, call Rashid Ali at Elite Visions. This is Stan Matthews of the Matthews TV broadcast, reminding you to shop urban and shop local.
When you shop urban, you strengthen your community, save time and money, and create more jobs.
Provide your family with 360 degrees of protection by calling Miss Eileen Marcial. Provide your family total peace of mind by calling Miss Natalie Hunt at Easy Protection. Enjoy a one-of-a-kind Asian cuisine experience by calling Mr. Tony Yu at East Sushi. Take your organization or business to the next level by calling Mr. Sherman Riggins at the Riggins Coaching Institute. This is Stan Matthews reminding you to shop urban and shop local.
When you shop urban, you strengthen your community, save time and money, and create more jobs.
When you're ready to purchase your dream home, call Marichelle Alvarez at Citizens Mortgage. When you want whiter teeth and a perfect smile, call Dr. Dobbins at Dobbins Family and Cosmetic Dentistry. When you want your garments looking whiter and smelling brighter, call Alvin McKinney at Soft Touch. When you want to satisfy your health and wellness and office supply needs, call Keith Broadway at the Urban Marketplace. This is Stan Matthews of the Matthews Broadcast, reminding you to shop urban and shop local. This evening on the Matthews broadcast launches a very, very vital and important part of the broadcast evolution. To this point, we have had 3-person panels, and that has gone exceedingly well. We're very happy with the results of that. This evening, we're starting what's called the legacy interview format. And the legacy interview format is a format in which there are no other panelists except the guest. And we have some people whose names you will instantly recognize that will be legacy interview guests. We begin the legacy series this evening with someone who is known internationally for his prowess on the classic piano. Ask General if he can find something by Richard Alston. Richard, you did some Stevie Wonder? Ask him if he can find something by Richard. Oh, can he play a CD, Kev? Because we have one of Richard's CDs with us. Sure, you can have mine. Just give it to him. And I'm going to let you get a taste of this highly talented brother's music. Some of the names that have already booked legacy interviews to come this fall are the comedian and actor Bill Bellamy, the Althea Gibson Foundation's executive director will be with us. There is a federal judge, Michael Shipp, out of Newark, New Jersey, one of the youngest federal judges in the country, that will be with us. We are talking with one and only Dana Owens, also known to the world as Queen Latifah, who went to school in junior high school and high school with my sister, who many of you know transitioned to heaven last week. So Dana has special impetus to be, I guess she wants to be nice to us, but she's nice. So the Legacy series is going to be fun, and it's going to bring forward leadership at the highest level. A name that you should know is Jennifer Montague. She is the current chairwoman of the Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. She is also very well known on Wall Street, Donna, and she interviews leaders at the highest level. Right now, she's at the University of West Virginia on a symposium of black women on Wall Street. Jennifer is just at another level in terms of the people that she interacts with. She will be with us on the 10th of September doing a Legacy interview. So I'm overjoyed that the Legacy part of the Matthews broadcast is about to take off. We will be posting on the MatthewsBroadcast.com the names of those people who are coming forward in the Legacy series. So without any further ado, this internationally known person with us, the one and only Richard Alston. It's our pleasure to launch the Matthews Broadcast Legacy series with Richard. And Richard is very happy, and the album is doing very, very well. So enjoy for about 2 minutes Richard's work.
This is a Russian piano concerto. I recorded the CD at the Czech Republic in Europe. And one interesting note about this CD, it's more than an hour's worth of music. I only had 8 weeks to learn all the music because the door was open, and we'll talk about it further.
Yeah.
But when I got the offer to do it, they originally wanted me to do the recording. The offer came in July. The recording originally was supposed to be made the following spring, Easter weekend. There was a person who canceled a recording session Thanksgiving. And so the record company called me and they said, well, can you be ready? And so even though it was just July, I'm also associate professor at Essex County College in Newark. I don't know if you've ever heard of that school. And I'm starting to register pupils tomorrow. Classes start the day after Labor Day. So all of my practicing had to be done during July and August before I started school. So I was doing 8 hours a day practicing to learn this music. And so it was a blessing, and I had to accept. I had dreamt about doing this. And so when the door opened, I did look up to the heavens and say, God, what are you doing to me?
All right, all right. And what did he say?
He said, you know what I'm doing? Well, he actually said, you have to be careful what you pray for.
That's right.
Because I had wanted to do a CD like this. This is a very rare piece of music, and I had wanted to do that. And I just didn't expect to have it happen where I would have to learn the music so quickly. I didn't know a note of this. I didn't know a note of this music when I was asked to do it. Not one note. Thank you.
Well, you know that as the originators of music, we can improvise and learn very, very quickly. Richard, just for...
One thing I just want to say.
Sure.
In addition to my classical side, I'm also a minister of music at Trinity Presbyterian Church. And I learned how to play gospel music at First Baptist Church in Vauxhall, New Jersey. I don't know if you've ever heard of that small town.
So you might, you might know this other pianist who's known just a little bit in gospel circles, named Richard Smallwood.
Oh yes, the other Richard.
The other Richard. That's why I asked you about it. But we're with the primary Richard tonight. For the purposes of the CD, this is Richard Smallwood, ladies and gentlemen at home. I mean,
Richard
this
Alston.
is... I'm doing that on purpose. This is Richard Alston at home, ladies and gentlemen. And this wonderful music can be purchased for?
You can get it online on Amazon.com. And you can also buy it digitally on Amazon. You don't have to buy. And then this is actually a reissue. Because if you go to Amazon or you just go to Google, just put in Alston pianist. You must put in pianist because there's a Richard Alston in Australia who is a choreographer. And if you don't put that, both of our stuff comes up. But I don't know if the record company changed to the new cover. There was a previous cover to this CD, and my picture was not on the cover. And so when they reissued it, I said, my picture goes on the cover this time.
Buy Richard's music. Buy Richard's music. For those of you at home, we must support this man, and we must add this treasure to our own library of music, right? So without any further ado, we're going to get right into it. Richard, tell me something.
Yes.
When did you begin studying piano? I'm not going to say classic piano. When did you start studying piano, and what inspired you?
Officially, I started studying at 5. Officially.
Wow.
I say officially only because my mother and father were in medicine. My mother's an RN, my father's a lab technician. When I came home as an infant from the hospital, my mother went back to work as an RN, and my grandmother took care of me. I have a wonderful, you mentioned legacy. I have a wonderful legacy. My grandmother was a classically trained musician. She was a church organist.
Wow.
She was a soprano. And her father, my great-grandfather, was also a pianist, a preacher, a singer. And so it's in my blood.
Yeah.
So she began sitting me down at the piano when I was just an infant, playing songs for me. But the reason why I say officially at 5, she began teaching me, but she died of a stroke when I was 5 years old. And I already loved the piano. And so they found a local teacher. My hometown is East Orange, New Jersey.
Mine too.
Wonderful, all right. And found a wonderful teacher. They did have to tell a little fib that I was 6 years old because no one wanted to take a 5-year-old. But I already loved the piano at the age of 5.
Wow.
And so my official lessons began at that time after my Nana passed away.
Wow. So you're well known for the Arensky Piano Concerto. How did that recording come about? I mean, that's a massive work. When did you undertake it, and how did it come about?
Well, the story behind that is this. When I was 16, I would go, my teacher at that time, when I was 13, I went to study in New York City with a wonderful concert pianist named Sylvia Rabinoff. She taught at a music festival called Brevard in North Carolina. And when I was 16, I went to Brevard. I won a competition. I performed with the orchestra. When I was 17, I returned, and I won a competition again and played with the orchestra. When I was 18, again, I returned with her and won the competition.
Wow.
And so what happened, that was in 75. 20 years later, the festival invited me to come back and open the festival as an established artist. And that was a wonderful opportunity. At that performance was a woman who remembered me when I was 16. And she said, you know, you need to make a CD. And I said, okay, I'd like that.
Yeah.
She said, there's a wonderful African-American conductor named Paul Freeman. I want you to call him and tell him you spoke with me and that you need to make a CD with him. And I said, well, I can't just call him. So she said, okay, I'll call him. I spoke to this great maestro, and I had always wanted to record an unusual piano composition for piano and orchestra. And we spoke, and he said, all right, let's do this. He spoke to the president of Centaur Records, and everything was set into motion. That month was July. The plan was that I would record the CD in the following April, spring, during the Easter break.
Right.
I said, fine. I didn't know any of the music. So that was fine with me because I had all of these months to learn the music. Right after we spoke, maybe 4 days later, 5 days later, I get a call, and Maestro Freeman said, can you be ready Thanksgiving? And I was, what happened to Easter? We got the wrong holiday. We were talking about Easter.
That's right.
He said there was a cancellation. All the studio time is available for the Thanksgiving break. Can you be ready? And I said, yes. Mind you, I didn't know any of the music.
Well, you had no choice but to say
yes. This was a blessing.
Right.
And so I began practicing 8 hours a day. I had to have it learned 90% in 8 weeks because I'm also a college professor at Essex County College in North New Jersey. And I knew that after Labor Day, I would begin teaching my classes. So I wouldn't have the 8 hours to do, maybe 4.5. And so I learned it. I went to the Czech Republic in Europe.
And you played it.
And I played it, and I recorded it, and this is the result.
No, this is outstanding. Now, Classically Black has been presented to acclaim. And for those of you at home and in the audience, Classically Black is a concert lecture where Richard focuses and performs the classics from a black perspective.
Yes.
Tell us about Classically Black.
Classically Black began actually when I was about 9 or 10 years old.
Right.
I studied out of a book that many people used when they would study piano called the John Thompson Piano Series. In that second grade book, there was a piece called Carry Me Back to Old Virginia. And my great teacher, Dorothy Early, she looked at me and she said, the man who wrote this is a Negro. And all of a sudden, next to Bach, next to Beethoven, he was a black man. And that made a great impression on me. Years later, I was asked when I taught at Rutgers University in Newark to develop a course on the history of black music. And I began to realize that my students, well, one, never thought a black person could play classical music.
Right.
Never knew that a black person could sing opera. And it went even further. Some of them never even heard of Duke Ellington.
Wow.
And so Classically Black is a concert lecture that I take all around the country. I've been to many universities and colleges. And I teach them things like, for example, we all know that tune by Scott Joplin, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
That's right.
It's a rag. Why is it called a rag? I asked the audience. No one knows. It's a rag because it's syncopated. They felt the rhythm was ragged, and that was why they called he named them rags.
Wow.
So I teach them that. There's a wonderful jazz composer named, well, let me say, his piece is called Take the A Train.
Right.
Now, when I say Take the A Train...
Now, let me stop you right there. This for my music historians. Who made Take the A Train? Who knows? Go ahead, Drew.
Duke Ellington?
No.
Oh, okay.
Billy Strayhorn. Billy Strayhorn wrote most of Duke Ellington's music. He was a phenomenal musician. When he was 15, he went to a high school in New York City. They had musicals. He wrote all the music for them at 15. When I do this concert, I play a piece that he wrote when he was 15. But let me tell you this story. He wrote Take the A Train because when he met Duke Ellington, he said, how do I get to your brownstone? And Duke Ellington said, take the A Train. But he wrote this piece, and he didn't think much of it. He actually balled it up and threw it in the garbage trash can. And a relative of his said, wait a minute, I heard you practicing this. This is a good tune. She took it out of the trash, and she said, you take this to Duke Ellington. And as you all know, that's one of his great hits.
One of his great hits.
And so when I do this lecture, it's because of information like this. People don't know.
That's right.
People don't know. I have a habit of talking too much. I don't want to. There's a composer by the name of Chevalier de Saint-Georges. He lived in France. He was first a phenomenal fencer, but he was also a composer. He was living in France the same time Mozart was in Germany. And they called him the Black Mozart. And so he was writing these symphonies, concertos for violin way back during that time. And people think, well, to this day, sometimes they think, well, we know of blacks singing R&B, gospel music, jazz, but we have a legacy.
Absolutely.
There's that word again.
That's right.
There's that word again,
That's
legacy.
Right. Now look at the camera. What is Chevalier's name?
Chevalier de Saint-Georges.
Right.
And I have a YouTube channel. Just Google Alston Pianist, and I play a piece that he wrote that was filmed on a concert I gave. And be sure you put Alston Pianist, because there's a wonderful choreographer named Richard Alston in Australia, and we met.
And you want to make sure.
We met. I want to make sure that you go to my videos and not his.
So I want to say to our folks here and our folks at home that as of tonight, Chevalier St. George,
the St. George,
that Mozart is the white Chevalier St. George. Right, Drew? We're going to flip it the way it needs to be flipped tonight, right? Right. I've even heard rumors that they called Beethoven the Brown Maestro. People who lived at that time, and you can check this out on Google for yourself, said that Beethoven, right, was a very brown complected man. And if you got your phones, I know they're on silent, pull up Beethoven and you will see that the brother had an afro much like Drew's.
And let me give you one more.
I want y'all to check that out. On your phone, look at Beethoven's photograph and you will see the dude was sporting a curly afro. And they said that all of those who have seen him in person, that Beethoven was a lightly complected, brown-skinned man with very curly hair. Look at his picture when it comes up.
I want to give you also a bit of information. He was very good friends with a violinist named George Bridgetower. Look up George Bridgetower. George Bridgetower was of African descent. He played the violin magnificently, and Beethoven wrote a sonata dedicated to him. But what happened, he and George got into an argument, I think it was over a woman, and he took George Bridgetower's name off and put Kreutzer. And so if you look up George Bridgetower, you will see that. And there's a wonderful movie, I'm a big movie buff, called Immortal Beloved. And I'm getting goosebumps now as I tell you. In the film, they have a black man playing the violin, portraying George Bridgetower. That meant a lot to me when I saw that.
Now that is none of the pages of history that have been hidden from us surprises me. None of it. None of it. The reality is that the pages of history need to be upgraded and need to reflect a history of truth.
Yes.
And if history were to reflect a history of truth, Richard, in music and so many other genres, I think you would find our faces in those places in a very, very prominent way.
Oh, yes.
So what I'd like to do is I would like one more time for you to look at that camera at home and hold the other side of this. Richard, tell the audience at home why they need to have that in their music library.
Well, one thing I say that you need to have it is because my picture's on the cover. And no. I didn't want to stop there.
Go ahead,
I didn't
Richard.
want to stop there. No, what
Richard
I
said,
meant
I
was-
look good like that.
No. What is important is that people see the picture of a black man playing Russian piano music. That's why it's important that it should be there, because I was inspired by two things. I was inspired as a child when I saw Andre Watts on
There you
television
go.
performing.
Go ahead, Andre.
I saw a young man who looked like me. And that told me I could do it. And then the other inspiration was, you might laugh when I say, it was Liberace. Because when he played, he smiled at the audience and he loved playing the piano. But this is important for that reason, because when you see covers of CDs, very rarely do we see classical CDs of instrumentalists. We know of the Leontine Price and Jesse Norman and the Kathleen Battle, but very rarely do we hear of a black classical instrumentalist, whether it's pianist or violinist. So for that reason, add it to your collection so you can say, here's a brother.
I want to thank you for being with us this
Thank
evening.
you
For
for
those
having me.
at home, this has been a special treat here on the Matthews broadcast to have Richard Alston with us. We obviously highly recommend to you that you add this album to your collection. This is Stan Matthews. We will be right back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
When you shop Urban, you strengthen your community, save time and money, and create more jobs.
When you need capital for your small business, call Brian Fleming at Spring Hill Financial. When you need a car or truck, call Bill Owens at Lucas Ford. When you want your staff to perform at a higher level, call Patrick Fennell at Empowerment Solutions. When you want legendary landscaping services, call Rashid Ali at Elite Visions. This is Stan Matthews of the Matthews TV broadcast, reminding you to shop urban and shop local.
When you shop Urban, you strengthen your community, save time and money, and create more jobs.
Provide your family with 360 degrees of protection by calling Miss Eileen Marcial. Provide your family total peace of mind by calling Miss Natalie Hunt at Easy Protection. Enjoy a one-of-a-kind Asian cuisine experience by calling Mr. Tony Yu at East Sushi. Take your organization or business to the next level by calling Mr. Sherman Riggins at the Riggins Coaching Institute. This is Stan Matthews reminding you to shop urban and shop local.
When you shop Urban, you strengthen your community, save time and money, and create more jobs.
When you're ready to purchase your dream home, call Marichelle Alvarez at Citizens Mortgage. When you want whiter teeth and a perfect smile, call Dr. Dobbins at Dobbins Family and Cosmetic Dentistry. When you want your garments looking whiter and smelling brighter, call Alvin McKinney at Soft Touch. When you want to satisfy your health and wellness and office supply needs, call Keith Broadway at the Urban Marketplace. This is Stan Matthews of the Matthews Broadcast reminding you to shop urban and shop local.